Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
Jaya
Vrinda.
Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai
Jai
Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai
Jai
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai
Jai
Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki Jai
Jai.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. I just saw that today is, well, today in India, maybe for you tomorrow morning, is the disappearance of Srila Haridas Thakur. So, should we read about the disappearance pastime of Haridas Thakur, or should we continue with, because eventually we'll come to that anyway.
That is wonderful. Yes, Mataji. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did his all those rites and
The disappearance of Haridas Thakur.
Yes. That's very wonderful pastime. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. So, one second. The only thing is morning time, my morning time, they have very less time. So, let's see how big. Okay, we can read, I think. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, Chapter 11, The Passing of Haridas Thakur. The summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya as follows. In this chapter, it is described how Brahma Haridas Thakur gave up his body with the consent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how the Lord himself personally performed the funeral ceremony and carried the body to the sea. He personally entombed the body, covered it with sand, and erected a platform on the site. After taking a bath in the sea, he personally begged prasadam of Jagannath from shopkeepers and distributed prasadam to the assembled devotees. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridas Thakur and his master Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced with the body of Haridas Thakur on his lap. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful. Let me see if there's purports. If not, then we can just read. Okay, so let's just read like this then. So wherever there's some purport. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridas Thakur and his master. Well, then I'll have to read the Bengali also. Do we have that much time? Okay, we'll just read translations.
Yes, Mataji, because anyway we will be reading this
Later, yeah. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridas Thakur and his master Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced with the body of Haridas Thakur on his lap. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful and who is very dear to Advaita Acharya and Lord Nityananda. All glories to the master of Srinivas Thakur. All glories to the master of Haridas Thakur. All glories to the dear master of Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to the master of the life of Swarup Damodar. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya, who is very dear to Kashi Mishra. He is the Lord of the life of Jagadananda and the Lord of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. All glories to the transcendental form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, kindly give me shelter at your lotus feet by your causeless mercy. All glories to Lord Nityananda, who is the life and soul of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My dear Lord, kindly give me engagement in devotional service at your lotus feet. All glories to Advaita Acharya, who is treated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as superior due to his age and respectability. Please give me engagement in devotional service at your lotus feet. All glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the Lord is their life and soul. All of you, kindly bestow devotional service upon me. All glories to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They are all my masters. I am writing this narration of the pastimes and attributes of the Lord by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. I do not know how to write properly, but I am purifying myself by writing this description. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri with his personal devotees and enjoyed the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In the daytime, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in dancing and chanting and in seeing the temple of Lord Jagannath. At night, in the company of his most confidential devotees, such as Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar Goswami, he tasted the nectar of the transcendental mellows of Lord Sri Krishna's pastimes. So they would narrate, Ramananda Rai, Swarup Damodar Goswami, they would be reciting verses of Krishna's pastimes, and Mahaprabhu would be tasting the nectar of the transcendental mellows of Lord Sri Krishna's pastimes. He would actually enter into those pastimes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very happily passed his days in this way at Nilachal, Jagannath Puri. Feeling separation from Krishna, he exhibited many transcendental symptoms all over his body. Day after day, the symptoms increased, and at night, they increased even more. All these symptoms, such as transcendental anxiety, agitation, and talking like a madman, were present, just as they are described in the Shastras. Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai, the chief assistants in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, remained with him both day and night. One day, Govinda, the personal servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went in great jubilation to deliver the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food to Haridas Thakur. When Govinda came to Haridas, he saw that Haridas Thakur was lying on his back and chanting his rounds very slowly. Please rise and take your Mahaprasadam, Govinda said. I have not finished chanting my regular number of rounds. How then can I eat? But you have brought Mahaprasadam, and how can I neglect it? Saying this, he offered prayers to the Mahaprasadam, took a little portion and ate it. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Haridas's place and inquired from him, Haridas, are you well? Haridas offered his obeisances to the Lord and replied, my body is all right, but my mind and intelligence are not well. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired from Haridas, can you ascertain what your disease is? Now that you have become old, the Lord said, you may reduce the number of rounds you chant daily. You are already liberated, and therefore you need not follow the regulative principles very strictly. Your role in this incarnation is to deliver the people in general. You have sufficiently preached the glories of the holy name in this world. The Lord concluded, now, therefore, please reduce the fixed number of times you chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So you know how many times Haridas Thakur was chanting every day? We chant 16 rounds. Haridas Thakur was chanting 192 rounds every day. That was his fixed number of rounds. 192 rounds. How much ever time that would take. And until he finished his 192 rounds, he would not eat anything, he would not drink a drop of water, or he would not sleep. So when he slept, when he ate, when he took bath, we don't know. Because according to the time that we take to chant 16 rounds, 192 rounds would take 24 hours. So, but of course, when you chant very attentively, the time reduces. It doesn't take that long. But still,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
And also Haridas Thakur used to go with Nityananda Prabhu to preach door to
Yes.
door, right?
Yes.
That was his job. He did duty.
Yes.
Where did he get time?
Yeah, that's the point. Where would he get time? So
Right.
he would chant 300,000, 3 lakhs, 300,000 names. So 100,000 he would chant japa, right? Japa means in his mind, like not make, like how we chant Gayatri, like that within the mouth. He would chant 100,000. 100,000 he would chant like we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And the last 100,000 he would go outside and he would be screaming loudly, Hare Krishna, 100,000 times. So every day 300,000 times he would do. So I guess that can be counted as preaching the fast. But yeah, he would also go door to door and ask them, please take Krishna's name, like that with Nityananda Prabhu. So yeah, how he did that, he knows. I don't know.
Chanting 16 rounds, we are finding it. I chant 20 a day, but even that, it takes me 2 hours, like that, 2.5 hours. And then other things I do chant, like Vishnu Sahasranamam, these things I do. But those will, I don't know how they will count. But I do have time. But that continuously chanting is really amazing.
That is why Srila Haridas Thakur is Nam Acharya. He is the Nam Acharya.
You're right.
So let's continue. So the Lord is saying that, no, let's go one more verse. 26. The Lord concluded, now therefore please reduce the fixed number of times, which is 192. You don't have to strictly complete all 192. Reduce the fixed number of times you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, I was born in an inferior family, Haridas Thakur is saying. I was born in an inferior family, and my body is most abominable. I always engage in low work. Therefore, I am the lowest, most condemned of men. I am unseeable and untouchable, but you have accepted me as your servant. This means that you have delivered me from a hellish condition and raised me to the Vaikuntha platform. My dear Lord, You are the fully independent personality of Godhead. You act by your own free will. You cause the whole world to dance and act as you like. My dear Lord, by your mercy, you have made me dance in many ways. For example, I was offered the Shraddha Patra, which should have been offered to first class Brahmanas. I ate from it even though I was born in a family of meat eaters. I have had one desire for a very long time. I think that quite soon, my Lord, you will bring to a close your pastimes within this material world. So in text 30, what Haridas Thakur, Srila Haridas Thakur is saying is that whatever wonderful things I may have done, it is not my doing. You are making me dance.
Yeah.
You are the master, I am a puppet. And you're making me dance and you're giving me credit and people are calling me this and that. But actually, I'm a very lowly person. You have lifted me to the Vaikuntha platform like that. So you can see the humility of Haridas Thakur and also the greatness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
And
So
also, Prabhupada also same thing he said. Srila Prabhupada also. Just, he told his Krishna that whatever he was in the ship,
correct.
whatever it happens, you make me dance like a puppet.
Dance. Correct. Yes, Mataji. Parampara. Yeah. So, my dear Lord, you are the fully independent personality of Godhead. You act by your own free will. You cause the whole world to dance and act as you like. By your mercy, you have made me dance in many ways. You made me dance in so many different ways, the way you wanted. And then that example, for example, Haridas Thakur is saying, I was offered the Shraddha Patra, which is given to the most exalted Brahmana in the assembly. He's given the first plate of the Shraddha Patra. But it was given to Haridas Thakur, who was not even born in a Brahmana family. It's supposed to be offered to the first class in the assembly, the first class Brahman. And who offered that? Sri Advaita Acharya. Srila Advaita Acharya offered the Shraddha Patra, Shraddha for his father, ancestors he was offering. He gave that to Haridas Thakur. I ate from it, even though I was born in a family of meat eaters. That means you made me dance, you made me do all these things. I have had one desire for a very long time. I think that quite soon, my Lord, you will bring to a close your pastimes within this material world. I wish that you not show me this closing chapter of your pastimes. Before that time comes, kindly let my body fall down in your presence. So this is the desire of Haridas Thakur. Before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ended his pastimes from this earth, before that day, while Mahaprabhu is still present on the earth, Haridas Thakur wanted to leave, give up his body in the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was his desire for a long time. I wish to catch your lotus-like feet upon my heart and see your moon-like face. With my tongue I shall chant your holy name, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. That is my desire. Kindly let me give up my body in this way. So what is Haridas Thakur's desire? Of course, to leave his body while Mahaprabhu is still here. Not only that, but to hold the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu on his chest, keep gazing at the moon-like face of Haridas, of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and on his tongue chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, looking at Mahaprabhu's face, holding his lotus feet to the heart, giving up his body. This was the only desire of Haridas Thakur, which he expressed to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kindly let me give up my body in this way. O most merciful Lord, if by your mercy it is possible, kindly grant my desire. Let this low-born body fall down before you. You can make possible this perfection of all my desires. What's not possible for you? You can make it possible. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Haridas, Krishna is so merciful that he must execute whatever you want. Krishna is so merciful that he will fulfill whatever you desire, he has to fulfill because you're such a nice devotee. But whatever happiness is mine is all due to your association. It is not fitting for you to go away and leave me behind. Catching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur said, "My Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. Don't try to trick me. Don't create an illusion. I want mercy. But you're so magnanimous. Please show me this mercy. My Lord, there are many respectable personalities, millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. Very, very exalted devotees, millions of devotees there are, who are so glorious, so exalted, they are fit to sit on my head. They're all helpful in your pastimes." Because Mahaprabhu said, "What happiness will I have if you leave? How will I live here without you? All my happiness is because of you." So Haridas Thakur is saying, you have millions of devotees, much, much, much more exalted than me. They are so exalted, so great, they are capable, they are fit to sit on my head. Right? They are so great, and they are going to help you in your pastimes. Right? You don't need me like that. So there are many respectable personalities, millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. They are all helpful in your pastimes. My Lord, if an insignificant insect like me dies, what is the loss? If an ant dies, where is the loss to the material world? So this is the humility of a Vaishnava. Mahaprabhu is saying, I have no happiness without you. I cannot live without you. And Haridas Thakur is saying, if a mosquito dies, if an ant dies, does anyone lament? Is there a loss to this world if an ant died? Like that, I'm just like an insect. I'm an insignificant insect. What loss is there to this world if I died? My Lord, you are always affectionate to your devotees. I'm just an imitation devotee. But nevertheless, I wish that you fulfill my desire. That is my expectation. Right? You're very, very, this is the nature of the Lord. Aham bhakta paradhina, Krishna says. So you're very affectionate to your devotees. Whatever the devotee wants, you do for the devotee. Of course, I'm not a devotee. I'm just an imitation devotee. I just pretend like I'm a devotee. Actually, I'm not a devotee. But still, I have this desire. Please fulfill my desire. Like, So, because he had to perform his noon duties, right? Go and chant Gayatri and Sannyas mantra, they chant like Gayatri, morning, noon, evening. Because he had to perform his noon duties, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up to leave. But it was settled that the following day, after he saw Lord Jagannath, he would return to visit Haridas Thakur. After embracing him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left to perform his noon duties and went to the sea to take his bath. The next morning, after visiting the Jagannath temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by all his devotees, went hastily to see Haridas Thakur. So this time Mahaprabhu came with all the devotees, and he came hastily right after the morning program, going to Jagannath temple, and then he came. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees came before Haridas Thakur, who offered his respects to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, "My dear Haridas, what is the news?" Upon hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first the Lord inquired, "My dear Haridas, what is the news?" Upon hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately began great congregational chanting in the courtyard. Actually, one line is missing here. When Mahaprabhu asked, "What is the news?" then Haridas Thakur replies, "Whatever mercy you show me, my Lord." Right? I am at your mercy. So what is the news? News will be what mercy you show me today. Like that. Whatever mercy you show me. Then in response to that, on hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately began great congregational chanting in the courtyard. Bakreshwar Pandit was the chief dancer. Headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu surrounded Haridas Thakur and began congregational chanting. They were doing kirtan. In front of all the great devotees like Ramananda Rai and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe the holy attributes of Haridas Thakur. As he described the transcendental attributes of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to possess 5 mouths. The more he described, the more his great happiness increased. After hearing of the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur, all the devotees present were struck with wonder. They all offered their respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sit down in front of him, and then he fixed his eyes like 2 bumblebees on the lotus face of the Lord. He held the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his heart and then took the dust of the feet of all the devotees present and put it on his head. He began to chant the holy name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya again and again. Right? He was holding and he was saying, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And he's gazing at the moon-like face of Mahaprabhu and holding his lotus feet to his heart, to his chest like this, and saying, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, again and again. As he drank the sweetness of the face of the Lord, tears constantly glided down from his eyes while chanting the holy name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He gave up his air of life and left his body. So this happened today. Seeing the wonderful death of Haridas Thakur by his own will, which was just like a great mystic yogi's, isn't it? He decided to give up his body and he decided to give it up in a particular way, and he gave it up. So his passing away was just like a great mystic yogi's. So seeing this, everyone remembered the passing away of Bhishma. Krishna was present for Bhishma Dev also, right? And Bhishma Dev was gazing at Krishna and he saw the exact moment the Uttarayanam was starting, and at that moment, by his will, he gave up his body. So when they saw Haridas Thakur giving up his body the way he wanted, chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, gazing on the face of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees remembered Bhishma Dev's passing away. There was a tumultuous noise as they all chanted the holy names Hari and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became overwhelmed with ecstatic love. The Lord raised the body of Haridas Thakur and placed it on his lap. So Haridas Thakur left. So the Lord picked up the body and put it on his lap. Remember, Mahaprabhu was sitting. Haridas Thakur made him sit down in front of him and he was holding the lotus feet and he gave up his body. So Mahaprabhu picked up the body of Haridas Thakur and put it on his own lap. And then he got up and began to dance in the courtyard in great ecstatic love. Because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, all the devotees were helpless. Because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love, all the devotees were helpless, and in ecstatic love they all began to dance and chant congregationally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced for some time, and then Swarup Damodar Goswami informed him of other rituals for the body of Haridas Thakur, Thakur Haridas. The body of Haridas Thakur was then raised onto a carrier that resembled an airship and taken to the sea, accompanied by congregational chanting. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in front of the procession. So first of all, Mahaprabhu performed a kirtan for a long time, holding the body of Haridas Thakur, and everyone was helpless because Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, so everyone was just chanting. And then the Lord was reminded the final rites have to be performed also. So then there was a nice cart arranged to take Haridas Thakur on a procession to the sea. And while the procession was moving, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in front of the cart or the carrier. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in front of the procession, and Bakreshwar Pandit, along with the other devotees, chanted and danced behind him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed the body of Haridas Thakur in the sea and then declared, "From this day on, this sea has become a great pilgrimage site." Because Haridas Thakur was bathed there, from this day on, this sea has become a great pilgrimage site. That's called Mahodadi, right? The beach in Puri, where Mahodadi. Yeah, that's where Haridas Thakur was, his samadhi is there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed the body of Haridas Thakur in the sea and then declared,
In Puri, Mataji?
Puri.
Oh, I never knew. I was there. I used to go to Puri quite every weekend when we were in
Really?
Cuttack. I was in Cuttack for 3 years. So we
Wow.
used to go every weekend. We used to call it Puri, Bhubaneswar, Puri, Bhubaneswar.
Wow.
Oh, I
You have
had very good time in Puri.
many bhakti samskaras you have from the past, Mataji.
That Puri I enjoyed a lot.
Wow.
I know a little bit Oriya.
Oh. You know many languages.
No, thank you. That was
So, yeah. So the body of Haridas Thakur, okay, that we read. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed the body of Haridas Thakur in the sea and then declared, "From this day on, this sea has become a great pilgrimage site." Everyone drank the water that had touched the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur. And then they smeared remnants of Lord Jagannath's sandalwood pulp over Haridas Thakur's body. After a hole was dug in the sand, the body of Haridas Thakur was placed into it. Remnants from Lord Jagannath, such as his silken ropes, sandalwood pulp, food and cloth, were placed on the body, the samadhi of Haridas Thakur. All around the body, the devotees performed congregational chanting. Actually, our ISKCON center in Puri is right there, where Haridas Thakur's samadhi is there. So from that temple, you just walk, cross the road, and that's Mahodadi. That's where they do all the, when we have our annual Puri Parikrama, they set up their stage and everything right there in that place where Haridas Thakur Samadhi is there. Yeah. So after a hole was dug in the sand, the body of Haridas Thakur was placed into it. Remnants from Lord Jagannath, such as his silken robes, sandalwood pulp, food and cloth were placed on the body. All around the body, the devotees performed congregational chanting. You must know this place, Swargadwaram, right, Mataji? In Puri, you know Swarg. It's right there, near that place. Yeah. Okay. So,
I was there on Radhayatra also, Mataji.
wow.
But in the crowd, it is very hard to go. But we stayed near, what is that, Kund, where they put Jagannath before Radhayatra.
I didn't go for Rath Yatra. I don't know.
No, before Radhayatra, means like here, we put on upstairs, He was...
Snan Yatra, after that, acha. Yeah, okay.
I'm not getting that name. That they keep the deities there. From there, and king comes and he sweeps the street, and then only they put them in the chariot, and then they take them there to the temple.
I see.
Oh, that was too much crowd, But people try to die under the wheel.
Yes.
Protecting them is very hard. People wants to die under the wheel. They go under the wheel.
Yeah.
Chariot. Yeah.
Because anyone who dies under the
chariot.
wheel of Jagannath, they get liberation.
Yeah, that's how they used to do it.
Mataji, you know that in Puri you can go. It always ends in bijor, count. What? Not in the like either 3 or you will go 5. You cannot stop going to Puri if you go 2 times. I
Sakshi
travel
Gopal.
3 times. No, in Puri. That's what they say.
Visiting Puri.
Visiting Puri.
Acha.
Yeah. So we
So-
also actually that way we also went to Puri 3 times when we were in the childhood. And
3 times means like 3 consecutive years, or overall in your life 3 times?
overall in your life. I mean, you cannot. I mean, if you are going for 2 times, definitely you will go another time. It's like that.
And what's the next number after 3?
3, 5, like that. It cannot
Acha,
be
odd numbers.
odd numbers. Yeah. It's not.
Acha, okay. Because I went 2 times only, so I get one
So
more.
you get another
I went so many times I didn't even count.
Counts. They will
I
keep the
didn't. I
count.
didn't even know.
keeping
I
the
didn't
count.
even know.
Jagannath is
I went continuous years. I went there, but I didn't even know about all these things.
Yeah.
And then even Prabhupada was there when I was there, but I didn't
Wow.
know. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
See, the thing, sometimes I feel bad when when I was in India and Calcutta also. 1 year I was there. We were there. Prabhupada was there. How
Wow.
come I didn't? I must have seen him, but I don't know who is that. So that is Krishna's timings. Now I have the time. Now I'm attending the classes and come to know everything.
And in
At
Puri,
least end of my life, at least I could do this.
Yes.
end of the life is only very important, no?
Yeah. At least end of my life, I'm seeing all these. I'm going through it. So that's good. Thankful to
Yes.
Krishna, to
Yes.
all the devotees.
Achana Bhakti Mataji. Thank you.
Like Haridas Thakur says, his first offering obeisances to Mahaprabhu and to all the devotees. Similarly, Mataji is also thanking Krishna and all the devotees.
That's
Okay, we'll read.
good. That's what I'm doing. But I cannot get all the devotees pada dhuli.
When you support them and you will listen, and you support them in so many different ways. So that's like taking their father to you.
That's not enough, Mataji.
Okay, let's read. Otherwise, it's way over time. Already almost 1 hour. Continue
Hi.
tomorrow.
No, can you please repeat that? What is that?
Yes,
3, 5? I
Mataji.
don't understand that odd number which I did not understand.
You can talk to Aditi Lata Mataji afterwards,
Okay,
because that's
okay,
off
okay.
topic.
It
It's
will
not
take away
related to
time,
what
right?
we are reading.
Yeah,
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
not in the
Mataji.
class.
Yes, let's read now, because there's 108 verses. We are only in 67. All around the body, the devotees performed congregational chanting, and Vakreshwar Pandit danced in jubilation. With his transcendental hands, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally covered the body of Haridas with sand, chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The devotees covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand and then constructed a platform upon the site. The platform was protected all around by fencing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted all around the platform. And as the holy name of Hari roared tumultuously, the whole universe became filled with the vibration. After Sankirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the sea with his devotees, swimming and playing in the water in great jubilation. So when a Vaishnava leaves, it is, of course, it's bittersweet. Bitter because now we don't have their association here, we are left behind. But sweet because we know the devotee Vaishnava is now with Krishna eternally. So Mahaprabhu was playing and swimming in the water in great jubilation. This is the success, right, of the Vaishnava. So after circumambulating the tomb of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Simhadwara gate of the Jagannath temple. The whole city chanted in congregation, and the tumultuous sound vibrated all over the city. Approaching the Simhadwara gate, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread his cloth and began to beg prasadam from all the shopkeepers there. I am begging prasadam for a festival honoring the passing away of Haridas Thakur, the Lord said. Please give me alms. Hearing this, all the shopkeepers immediately came forward with big baskets of prasadam, which they jubilantly delivered to Lord Chaitanya. However, Swarup Damodar stopped them, and the shopkeepers returned to their shops and sat down with their baskets. Swarup Damodar sent Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to his residence and kept with him 4 Vaishnavas and 4 servant carriers. Swarup Damodar said to all the shopkeepers, "Deliver to me 4 palmfuls of prasadam from each and every item." I don't need big baskets, give only 4 palmfuls from each and every item. In this way, varieties of prasadam were collected, then packed up in different loads and carried on the heads of the 4 servants. Not only did Swarup Damodar Goswami bring prasadam, but Vaninath Pattanayaka is the brother of Ramananda Rai. Vaninath Pattanayaka and Kashi Mishra, who is the personal bodyguard of Mahaprabhu. Vaninath Pattanayaka and Kashi Mishra also sent large quantities. So not just what was collected by Swarup Damodar Goswami, but Vaninath Pattanayaka and Kashi Mishra also sent large quantities of prasadam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made all the devotees sit in rows and personally began to distribute the prasadam, assisted by 4 other men. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not accustomed to taking prasadam in small quantities. He therefore put on each plate what at least 5 men could eat. Swarup Damodar Goswami requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Please sit down and watch. With these men to help me, I shall distribute the prasadam." The 4 men, Swarup Damodar, Jagadananda, Kashishwar, and Shankara, distributed the prasadam continuously. All the devotees who sat down would not eat the prasadam as long as the Lord had not eaten. On that day, however, Kashi Mishra had extended an invitation to the Lord. Therefore, Kashi Mishra personally went there and delivered prasadam to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great attention and made him eat. With Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and accepted the prasadam. When he began to eat, so did all the Vaishnavas. Until Mahaprabhu ate, nobody would eat. There was prasadam on everyone's plate, but nobody was eating because Mahaprabhu didn't eat yet. So Swarup Damodar Goswami went to Mahaprabhu and said, "This is not going to work. No one will eat unless you eat. So first you should eat." So then Mahaprabhu sat down with 2 other sannyasis and he ate. After Mahaprabhu ate, then everyone else started to eat. So, yeah, everyone was filled up to the neck because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept telling the distributors, "Give them more, give them more."
Like, see,
After all
like
the
each plate, for 5 people, prasadam he putting, so no wonder they had up to the neck, they ate.
Yeah, well, but Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar Goswami didn't allow Mahaprabhu to give prasadam because he was giving so much and people wouldn't be able to eat. So
Yeah.
he served. But then even when they were serving, he was saying, give more, like that. So then everyone, each person ate up to his neck. After all the devotees finished accepting prasadam and had washed their hands and mouths, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decorated, now after eating, Mahaprabhu decorated each of them with a flower garland and sandalwood pulp. Overwhelmed with ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered a benediction to all the devotees, which all the devotees heard with great satisfaction. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this benediction: "Anyone who has seen the festival of Sri Haridas Thakur's passing away, anyone who has chanted and danced here, anyone who has offered sand on the body of Haridas Thakur, and anyone who has joined this festival to partake of the prasadam will achieve the favor of Krishna very soon. There is such wonderful power in seeing Haridas Thakur. Being merciful upon me." So now, okay, the Lord is saying, "Being merciful upon me, Krishna gave me the association of Haridas Thakur. Being independent in his desires, he has now broken that association." Mahaprabhu is saying, Krishna gave me Haridas Thakur's association because Krishna was very merciful on me. But Krishna is independent. Now he wanted his Haridas back, so he took him away from my association. When Haridas Thakur wanted to leave this material world, it was not within my power to detain him. Simply by his will, Haridas Thakur could give up his life and go away, exactly like Bhishma, who previously died simply by his own desire, as we have heard from Shastra. Haridas Thakur was the crown jewel on the head of this world. Without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told everyone, say, all glories to Haridas Thakur, and chant the holy name of Hari. Saying this, he personally began to dance. Everyone began to chant, all glories to Haridas Thakur, who revealed the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thereafter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees, and he himself, with mixed feelings of happiness and distress, took rest. Thus I have spoken about the victorious passing away of Haridas Thakur. Anyone, now this is the benediction from Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, anyone who hears this narration will certainly fix his mind firmly in devotional service to Krishna. From the incident of Haridas Thakur's passing away and the great care Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took in commemorating it, one can understand just how affectionate he is toward his devotees. Although he is the topmost of all sannyasis, he fully satisfied the desire of Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur was at the last stage of his life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him his company and allowed him to touch him. Thereafter, he took the body of Thakur Haridas on his lap and personally danced with it. Out of his causeless mercy, the Lord personally covered the body of Haridas Thakur with sand and personally begged alms from the shopkeepers. Then he conducted a great festival to celebrate the passing away of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was not only the topmost devotee of the Lord, but also a great and learned scholar. It was his great fortune that he passed away before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are exactly like an ocean of nectar, one drop of which can please the mind and ear. Anyone who desires to cross over the ocean of nations, please hear with great faith the life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I Krishnadas narrate Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita, following in their footsteps. Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. I have to go immediately because Mangalarti is going to end. Thank you.